Hi, and welcome to the Paletta Rosa Homestead. Today we're going to be making some oatmeal raisin cookies. I am making them sugar-free, so it does have stevia in it, and it's going to have Trulia brown sugar in it. So, I hope you're all ready to start some fabulous oatmeal raisin cookies. And again, ho ho ho, let's get to it. Okay, so in our bowl today, what we want to do is we want to put 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar. We also want to put in 1/2 cup of white sugar. And then we want to put in 1.5 cups of flour. We want a teaspoon of baking soda, a teaspoon of cinnamon, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over and I'm going to put this in the blender and start getting it all blended up nice. And then we'll work on our wet ingredients, which we need 2 sticks of butter, 2 eggs, and a teaspoon of vanilla. Okay, so I'll be right back. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm just beating together, mixing together that brown sugar, the white sugar like I said. Just mixing it together nicely. Now, put that off to the side for a moment, and in your big bowl, what we're going to do is we're going to put in the 2 sticks of butter. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a knife and I'm going to cut them up into smaller pieces. Don't mind the beep, it's just my oven telling me that it's reached 350 degrees. That's a good thing for you to start right now. Put your oven at 350 degrees. You always want to combine your dry ingredients together, and then in a separate bowl, do your wet ingredients. So that was my 2 sticks of butter, my teaspoon of vanilla, and I'm going to crack 2 eggs. I love baking cookies. It makes the house smell so good. And I'm going to go over and I'm going to put this in my blender. Be right back. Now while that's mixing up, just again, mix your dry ingredients together. And then get a sifter. Be right back. And of course you want another bowl to put it in. So get a nice spoon. And sift your flour and sugar. It gives the cookies a little bit of a fluffier taste. Now if you want, you could do the flour all by itself and not the other ingredients. I just always use the other ingredients. That way it gets like all sifted together. But you could do it either way. Oh, it smells so good. Well, Christmas is a week away. Our lights are on in the house, our Christmas trees are lit, everything's all decorated, packages are all done in Christmas paper. Everything looks so pretty. So what is everybody doing for the holidays? Get some of this in there now. Just make sure everybody is safe. With that snowstorm, we didn't have any here in Southwest Virginia, but if you're traveling, make sure you're safe. I heard roads aren't the greatest right now. Now in a separate container on the side, you're going to need 3 cups of oats and a cup of raisins. But those you don't put until the end, until you've got this and your wet mixture combined. Okay, that's all done. Okay, now I'm going to go over to my blender and see how things are going over there. Why don't you come on over with me? Sorry about my thumb. And it's coming along really good. I'm trying to bring that down so you can see it. Nope, it doesn't make it any better. Okay, let's go back on over. And I'm going to turn off my machine here. What I always do with my machine when I'm done and I want to get off the butter and stuff off the blender part, I put it on in a pretty fast motion. Sometimes it helps me get off some of the butter and stuff that's around on the beater. Look at that. Again, sorry about my thumb. One of these days I'm going to figure out how I can do this so that y'all can see it a lot nicer. Just take my blender. Trusty spatula. Just get it all mixed up again together. Get stuff around the sides of the bowl off. Now right now, if I put the flour in here even slowly, it would fly all over. So what I do is before putting it back on the blender, I put a little bit at a time in here. And I mix it up a little bit. Let me see if I can, without showing you my hands again. See how I'm putting in a little bit at a time? Okay, let's go back. Here I am again, yay! And I'm going to go over to the blender right now, and I'm going to add a little bit more flour, until it's all done in. So I will be back, and we'll see how everything goes. And you'll get to see me putting in the oats and the raisins. Okay? I'll be right back. Now, one thing I forgot to tell you, if you want to make these and you don't want to make them the sugar-free, you use the exact same ingredients, because the ingredients I'm using, the stevia and the Trulia brown sugar, there's even amounts. So the half a cup of white sugar, you use a half a cup of regular white sugar. The 3/4 cup of brown sugar, you use regular brown sugar. Okay, as you can see, I have turned around and beat this all down. It looks really good. Now what I'm going to do is, little by little, I'm going to take the oats, and like I said, there's 3 cups of oats, and I'm going to pour some in. And what I shouldn't have done was left the spatula in. It's best if you use a wooden spoon so you don't break your spatula. So I'm going to take my wooden spoon and just go getting those oats mixed up really good with the batter. Of course, the more oats you put in, the harder it is. It gets thicker, so you need to put a little elbow into it. Can't use a beater for this one, or you wouldn't have the oats in it very good. Okay, I'm going to finish putting the rest of them. And then when I'm done doing this part, then I put the raisins in and mix the raisins all up. See, I got it all mixed up real good. Now I'm going to do my 1 cup of raisins. At least when you're pulling out your batter and you're making like your individual cookie, like before it goes into the oven, if you see you got a whole bunch of raisins in it, you can always take one out, take a few out, and put with your next batch that's going in. Okay, now comes the time to start cookieing away. So you want to take your cookie sheet with your parchment paper. And I keep using the same parchment paper over and over until it gets really nasty looking. And here's my trusty cookie scoop. Take some out. Put it on the tray. I hope you liked the last video on the regot cookies. Oh, they are spectacular. Unfortunately, they're not sugar-free for my husband, but he eats them anyway. And also, I suggest anybody who wants to make cookies, go get a oven timer. That way you could see your temperature of your oven. It seems like the old house I lived in when we lived in New Jersey, that had a different timer, a different temperature in it. And you tend to look at some people's recipes and it'll say 12 minutes and yours takes 15 minutes. So get an oven timer, see where your oven is in temperature wise, and that way you have a better idea when your cookies will be done. Okay, let's get this batch in the oven. And I'm going to set my oven, of course I told you it's at 350, and I'm going to put it for 12 minutes. And then in 12 minutes I'll go in and check it and see if they're done or not. Now get my next tray ready. The nice part with the raisins also, if somehow you use too many cookies in the beginning, you can always add more raisins to it. I love the cookie scoop also because you get a better idea on how much cookie dough you're putting on the tray. Like I say in all my videos, if you like the content of the videos, please hit subscribe and like. Leave me a comment so I know who's watching, anything that you'd like to see going forward. The more subscribers I get and the more likes I get, it will show more on the home screen and it will get out to more people, which then YouTube likes me more. So if you have friends that like to do this kind of thing, please invite them to join my channel. I'm really enjoying doing this for you. And for me, it gives me something to do, especially with all the COVID going on. Okay, I'm going to put this batch in, and then we'll be back. I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, these are the cookies. They've got about 3 minutes left, so they're not ready yet. I doubt they'll be ready in 3 minutes. So I knew I put it on for 12, so let's see what happens in a little bit. Now, my husband just came out with a great idea that I think will work out really nice. He was saying, why don't I ask my viewers if they have a favorite recipe? If you have a favorite cookie recipe, candy recipe, cake recipe, a baking recipe, send it in the comments. I'd love to display it and try to make it in front of you, with you. And we could share some recipes. So please, if you have a favorite recipe,